Joined now by Republican Congressman David Valadao of the 21st Congressional District. And we're talking about two issues that are having serious impacts on residents right here in the Central Valley. Good morning, Congressman.
Morning.
Thanks so much for being with us. I appreciate you driving down to see us this morning, bright and early.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
I do want to start right off talking about the water crisis that's really plaguing the Central Valley. Now, obviously, we have no control over rainfall, but Governor Brown did declare what he's called a drought state of emergency. What does that really mean?
Well, it does give him some authority and some flexibility on some regulations the way we understand it, and that probably mostly on the state side. And most of your viewers probably don't know, but there are two different water projects that affect the Central Valley. We've got the federal side and the state side. And the federal side, we still have to continue to work on that. That's something that we've been working on the whole time I've been in Congress, and Kevin McCarthy and Devin Nunes before I was in Congress. It's a long-standing issue that has to be resolved, but a lot of regulations have forced water that should have been pumped into the valley, put into storage at the San Luis Reservoir, basically let out into the ocean. So
on your congressional website it says this is, or it at least leads you to believe this could be a man-made problem. Is that really true?
Well, yes. Obviously, the natural disaster of the drought that's occurring now is a problem. But if we hadn't had those regulations in place for the last few years, well, more than just a few years, but for some time now, we would have a lot of water in storage so that we can pump and fill in the holes. And that's why we build infrastructure. Infrastructure is there to put water away, bank it, and store it for those days that we do need it. And we do not have that water in inventory now.
It really has an effect on everything, especially with regard to air quality as well. Like the air is bad in the valley, and without rainfall, of course, something we don't have control over, but we'd like to see some rain right now. I know that you come from a family of dairy farmers, so water is something that's going to be near and dear to your heart. What are you doing specifically in Washington to ensure that a solution is achieved, as it says on your website?
Well, what we've done is we've reached out to different members. The problem with water is it's such a complicated issue. If we turn on the pumps on the federal side, the state guys start to get nervous because the Endangered Species Act will take precedence, and they believe that we would pull water from them versus not let it out into the ocean for the environmental reasons. And it's a balancing act. And so trying to get members to the table to come up with a solution that everybody can agree on. I mean, 1837 was passed out of the House last year with the help of Kevin McCarthy and Devin Nunes before I was elected. I've been working on legislation like that, but at the end of the day, we still have to reach out and make sure that our senators come from their side and help us on their side of the Capitol so that we can get something to the president.
I do want to talk about the high-speed rail. We have about a minute and a half right now. The Fresno Bee reported in July that your family owned land on one of the proposed routes. This route is constantly evolving. It seems like they can't narrow down a route. Where do you stand on the high-speed rail right now?
Well, I've been opposed to the high-speed rail since before there was an alignment. When I was running for the state assembly back in 2010, I was very adamant against it because we knew that this was going to happen. And then as the project progressed, and as I sat on the budget subcommittee that handled this, I got to see a lot of the issues that this project is plagued with. Obviously, no business plan, no no way of getting any of the funding that they need to build this. Now a state judge has come in and said, you haven't followed the letter of the law, you are breaking the law, you do not have the right to use that money. So I've been opposed to this project from the beginning. As far as what it affects me, yes, I'm a constituent of the Central Valley, and just like everybody else that lives in the valley, what happens here affects me just like all of my constituents.
Supporters say it's good for the state, good for the environment. What do you say to that?
Well, the studies have shown that for the first 30 years it's actually going to be worse for the environment than helpful because of the construction of it.
Okay, you do have a re-election coming up. It's not in the immediate future, but it's out there. Amanda Renteria, according to the Fresno Bee, could be your Democratic opponent. She has to win the primary and go through that. What sort of steps are you taking right now to sort of ensure that you're re-elected?
You know, at the end of the day, my job is to represent the people. So what I've done all along since being elected is do my best to represent the people and make the best decisions I can to represent my district. If voters like that, they'll re-elect me. If they don't, I'll go back to dairying and taking care of my cows. At the end of the day, I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure that the 21st Congressional District is represented to the best of my ability, and that's all I really can do.
Congressman, final question, about 10 seconds. Chris Christie's been in some trouble in New Jersey. What do you think about his chances now to get that nomination for the presidency?
You know, I've always stayed away from the national politics. I think he's just as strong as anybody else. I don't know if this issue is everything it's being painted out to be, but I wish him the best of luck.
Okay, Congressman David Valadao, thank you so much for being with us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.